going back to the origins of the project, it all started in 2019 when we had TOT, Training for Trainers, in Nicosia in Cyprus. It was all organized by the Anna Lindh Foundation. So there was a bunch of trainers that met together in this beautiful island. And we had a training course on intercultural citizenship, intercultural education. So what was the challenge? Once we made this training course, the Anna Lindh Foundation proposed us to organize a project together in a consortium of trainers to expand and to implement all the tools and the skills that we acquired in this first training course in Nicosia. And we decided to create a consortium of 8 trainers in which we all belong to 7 different countries. These countries were Lithuania, Greece, Ireland, Portugal in the north shore of the Mediterranean, and in the south shore of the Mediterranean, we had Morocco, Tunisia, and Egypt. And we had to do everything online without presential meetings because of the amount of countries. It was very difficult to travel and to get in touch. So we had several meetings online. We create all these digital platforms to stay in touch together, like Google Drive, WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, all of this in order to exchange materials, ideas, and everything, to put everything together.
I think this collaboration between people from different countries reflects the values of the Anna Lindh Foundation first, because the main mission is to promote interculturality and intercultural dialogue. So you cannot do that without getting educators working together to design training programs and also to try to see how these training programs can fit into the different contexts of the Euro-Mediterranean countries. So it was a good exercise for us, first of all, because we had to not only to work together, but also to solve problems that are intercultural by nature. When we discuss, for example, how we can implement training in Morocco and how it can be different from Greece and Portugal and Egypt, it is a very good intercultural exercise.
The Anna Lindh Foundation has a fabulous tool. It's a book with exercises that were actually reviewed by so many practitioners around the Mediterranean. So it's absolutely a fabulous tool. And it's actually using that tool, we approach each of the trainer approach in its own country, potential receiver of that training. So where the need is. So each of us had a group of different really people. Like for myself, I had practitioner, youth workers who took part in the training.
The main challenge with the situation of the COVID-19 that we've experienced, and now with the current situation, which is not stable. And these young people that we've trained, they face problems. We also faced that problem of finding some participants couldn't make it to the in-person workshop, so we had to do it in a sort of hybrid way. And that was a main challenge because we believe that nothing can replace in-person workshops. From our experience during the pandemic, during the lockdown, Zoom meetings, of course they solved some problems, but they are not really effective when it comes to training, which is supposed to change attitudes and so on. We need human contact, we need in-person meetings. So that was the main challenge, and it's the same challenge that the participants themselves faced when they wanted to multiply the training.
My project was a training that was divided in 3 face-to-face sessions and 9 hours sessions overall, and 1 hour digital meeting in the end for an overall view and evaluation.
The process is more than that. It's not just creating a training for those participants. It was at the first first step of it, in my view, was mostly because we kind of jammed together as a practitioner from different parts around the Mediterranean and worked together toward the same goals. So I think that the learning as a trainer was already encompassed in the fact that we were collaborating. So it was a collective, and we were kind of holding each other's realities while we were doing it. So understanding the different capacity of each of us, especially because for most of us, we had to move from a face-to-face workshop to an online workshop.
But for me, it is very important because I was not used to work online so much. And on another hand, all my trainings usually are very interactive. I am not like a lecturer who is standing in front of people and just talking. And I try to involve people as much as possible and through their own experience to let them to understand certain things.
The knowledge and the technology were diverse, so we kind of tried to help each other to create the best outcomes for this workshop. And that was, of course, very fruitful because it was a fabulous solidarity within the group itself. So I can say that I feel honored that I was able to work with those fabulous and highly capable people to really move you within your values and to question them and to review them, to create somehow a braver space. Now the second stage was really to see in our own realities in the countries we are living in, what is the need and who is susceptible to get those trainings. So that was as well a research. We had kind of to look really who could profit the most and act as a multiplier, you know, so that was as well important.
Then it was, I guess, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful parts of this project. It was the part when we all went to our communities and we created groups to work with and we started implementing the trainings.
So the training courses that we all implemented, they were very different and diverse, which made this project much more enriching. For example, me myself, I organized a training course with a group of a combination between teachers from schools of Lisbon and also youth workers that work in organizations and associations in different points of Lisbon. This training course was very interesting because both groups were exchanging and comparing their approaches on how they work with young people. The training course was divided in online sessions and presential sessions. Then in Tunisia, the trainer Fatima, she made a group of young people. So she worked directly with these young people and talked about intercultural dialogue. And these young people were also activists, including the president of an organization for diversity. So the sessions were all face-to-face. It was a very productive training course. Also in Egypt, Najee decided to work specifically with teachers from teachers all around the country. The sessions he organized were 2 sessions of face-to-face training course and 1 session of online training course. He approached a big number of teachers from all around the country, and the sessions were also talking about intercultural dialogue, and all these teachers acquired activities, skills and competences that they were implementing right away with their students after the training courses.
All 3 groups had participants were very different in all groups, because some of them were very experienced. Some of them, they had this training about intercultural things the first time in their life, learning from the both sides. There were people, those experienced people, and I was trying to get them more active and to show their experience. And there were some people who were just, as we said, we were taking everything because it was so new.
It was as well then as a facilitator at the moment of giving those workshops. It was as well to review your practice and how you engage when there is resistance. Because of course you welcome the resistance because it's a sign that you go to create a dialogue. You are not doing a conflict transformation only by listening, but you have to act on it and make sure that you are not necessarily trying to do a conflict resolution.
I'm really positive and happy about the outcomes of the training because I can feel that I've discussed with the participants really deep topics, sometimes taboos they don't talk about when it comes to racism, for example, when it comes to gender and religion, gender and traditions, and so on. So, but yes, in spite of the challenges, it was a success, I would say. It was a big success.
I think the most important was the team bonding. The week after the face-to-face sessions, when we had the digital meeting, it was clear that they were more connected to each other, more relaxed and in tune with each other.
After these trainings, we got together again. We had a lot of meetings just to share, to talk about how it all went and everything. And we organized a huge virtual exchange. In this virtual exchange, what we did is we invited participants from all of our trainings. So participants from Morocco, participants from Tunisia, from Egypt, Portugal, Greece, Ireland, and Lithuania. They all came together, 2 or 3 participants per country, together with the trainers. And we had a wonderful evening together in which we exchanged what had happened in our countries, how was the training course that they attended, and especially one of the most important things is that they were all able to share what changes this training had brought into their lives. Some other teachers in Egypt, suddenly they started to reinforce the way they teach history, or just trying to consider the diversity, the religious diversity that were in the classrooms, and they started doing new activities for children. So they, from the beginning, they are more aware of themselves as a human being, but also as the people who are around them. They were also, for example, company directors in Greece that started having activities in group with their employees, also considering the intercultural dialogue. So nobody would ever feel more excluded in the company anymore.
About the good practices they would implement in the future, they said that they will definitely follow that role-playing adjusted activity emotion sleepily, where everyone has to play a role and find arguments that are contradicted to his or her personality, and that they were really impressed by that, and they said that would really help them to deal with demanding clients and difficult decision making.
At this point, it was really visible, thanks to this exchange, that most of the participants, they learned a lot, but they also took action. So they, for example, we had example of some teachers in Portugal that they went back to their schools and they tried to change the aspect of their classrooms in order to consider the different cultures that were composing the class of the, by the origins of the students.
Luckily, the group that I have are all multipliers, all of them. A few of them are university students who are members of, they are already leaders in their context because we've trained them in other programs. So they work in university clubs, at university citizenship clubs, and so on. Others are teachers, and you know, of course, the teachers, part of what they do is intercultural education, because in our programs in schools, we have units on citizenship, units on intercultural dialogue, but it is not that deep. So these teachers, we believe that they are now able at least to introduce these ideas to their colleagues in the schools.
I know that from that group in Kėdainiai, they really are using some of my methods I shared with them in their daily work, being with groups, with other people. And I think those retired women, they can also use several exercises. And I know that they were doing this identity, thinking about identity method with those young mothers.
All of these examples were such an inspiration for all of us that we decided that our intellectual output was going to be a digital platform to share good practices. So this is a place, a common place, where not only participants, but also the trainers, they can all share what good practices they're doing in the related to intercultural citizenship or intercultural education.
But in general, we had really big pleasure working together, and we even thought that we could do any project together now after all this experience.
I believe that with all we got, we can easily have a follow-up on this, and because the lessons learned and the changes we've made are really valuable and really enriching. And this is only the beginning of a lot of actions that we can implement in our own countries, but also together as an international consortium.
You know, I think we were so successful having such a team, starting from Monica, who was coordinating this project, because I think, you know, sometimes you have very small group of people with whom you are working together, but it's so hard. And every time you have different opinions. And in our case, I don't know, it was always easy. And people were so friendly, and it was such a sharing atmosphere. Those who had more experience working online, they were sharing different methods working online, and we were spending much more time together than it was in curriculum, you know.
The journey has always sometimes, let's say, an end, but in this one, because we collaborated in such way, I think that this is a birth of new projects to come, because we learn to work together, we learn to understand each other better. So not only we brought that understanding of and the importance of dialogue within communities we are working with, but as well we brought it to ourselves as the facilitators between each other. All those, all that expertise, all that knowledge need to be as well, I suppose, put together somewhere. So I think that even our experience, I think it's a great thing that there is this maybe video that will explain to some to what extent we went to really make it work. So, but it was absolutely amazing, and it's a fulfillment of the thing we believe in. So I think it was it's like the cherry on the top of the cake.
But it's really important for the Anna Lindh Foundation to get people like this to design training programs and to work together as part of problem solving, because what the Anna Lindh Foundation has been doing is really important in terms of at the conceptual level, at the level of producing materials, doing research, etc. But when it comes to deciding on training for the local context, you have to get people to work together. You have to create learning communities. And I believe that ours has been a very good learning community, because we've we've been trying to solve problems and to learn from each other. And it's really empowering. And I think the Anna Lindh Foundation has to continue doing this in its project.